Welcome to Marcos on Air with my co-host Chelsea Autumn. And today we have a special guest, Jonathan Dubb. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. I'm glad you made it out here today.
Mm-hmm.
How's the day going?
Pretty good. Woke up, had breakfast, watched some anime.
Nice. You got to have a little anime. Yes. You know, it's funny. He got me into Naruto.
I don't even know Naruto.
And we could lose you right now, so we're not going to go too far into this rabbit hole. And then I introduced my son to Naruto, and he's on Boruto right now.
Already?
Damn. He's binging, bro.
How many Rutos are there?
There's about,
700 episodes.
700
but
episodes.
That's not including when Naruto's young. When Naruto's young, that's around like 300 episodes.
Yeah.
And then when he's older, 700, and then Boruto, when it's the story of his child.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you got to watch it.
I'll have to check it out.
Over a
It's
decade's worth of work.
Yes, decades worth of work. Yeah,
Sounds very time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, welcome to the show, man. How about you introduce yourself to the viewers and the listeners, and tell us a little bit about where you from?
Yeah, so Jonathan, from Santa Monica, California, born and raised. Went to school out there, played sports out there. Ended up moving to Inglewood when I was about 11 years old. Lived predominantly with my mom and my little brother. And yeah.
Nice. What sports did you play in high school?
In high school, basketball. But before that, it was soccer, football, baseball, and basketball.
Okay. All around athlete, man. Which one did you connect with the most?
I would say, even though I didn't play soccer as long, soccer I felt most free.
Okay.
Like off instinct. Everything's off instinct in that sport, I feel like. But the one that I grew a deep love for was basketball. Baseball, I was naturally gifted at it. Mm-hmm. But basketball, I just loved to play it more.
I like basketball.
Right. You play ball, Chelsea?
No, but it's fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It is very fast.
Or play horse. Is it horse?
Horse, yeah.
Horse. Yes.
2-ball knockout.
2-ball knockout.
A lot of fights happened during that game.
Ooh.
Yeah, a lot of elbows.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so you grew up playing sports. At what point did that come to an end for you?
When I was about 15, 16.
Okay. What happened?
So I tore some ligaments in my left ankle and broke my kneecap in the summer, going into junior year and in a varsity practice. And I had too much time alone with myself. And the year before that, I already messed up my ankle, and I was out for 6 to 8 weeks. So having back-to-back injuries that took a lot of time away from the gym was very depressing. I felt like I had depression before that. It just never, growing up the way I grew up, it's like you don't really look at it. Keep moving.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's all you got to do as a man, right?
Yeah.
And after all that time just alone, started smoking weed. Never smoked weed till I was 16. Mm-hmm. And then Xanax came into play. I can't remember the first time I took it, but once I took it, I found what I was looking for the most. And that was to be able to forget and not care about anything or anyone.
Right. But you're right. There's a whole culture around, especially like with sports, is don't let them see you sweat. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like that mentality can get so ingrained that even when we're struggling with like these emotional experiences, it almost contributes to hiding that too, right? Like can't let them see you sweat.
Yeah.
Mentality.
Can't show vulnerability.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of times people, and even for myself, I looked at vulnerability as a weakness. And so if I felt, I was being too open about what I was feeling, I would be looked at a little different. So I could see that. So you fell into a depression, and you mentioned that you felt like you had depression even before that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Looking back now, are you able to see like what contributed to that?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Walk us through that a little bit.
Growing up in a dysfunctional household, mom and dad never really getting along, and me having to watch all the arguing, fighting, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And at some point, it turned into my mom carrying that anger and frustration and putting it onto me unintentionally. And it took me a while to kind of forgive her for that, because I felt like I've warned her many times, how her and my dad are just not meant to be. It's obvious, Leave him alone and to him, leave her alone.
Right.
But I was like, what, 4, 5, 6 years old saying that to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just watched a lot. I seen a lot growing up. And that made me, it just developed me to the person I kind of am today. Well, especially with like relationships. Knowing how to not treat a woman and how to respect a woman. Mm-hmm. Even if you may not agree. If you love them, compromise. But yeah, just watching all that growing up. And then sports was like my only outlet, like of happiness.
Right.
And my friends never talked about anything in my household. That was also another thing too. Mm-hmm. It's like a hidden rule. Like you don't talk about what happens behind these doors.
Right.
In the shame book, right? It's like a no talk rule is one of the dysfunctional family rules.
Right. Can you talk a little more about that? The shame book.
Yeah. Who's it by? John Bradshaw, right?
Oh, Brett, yes.
Yeah. So like shame is like one of the lowest vibrations, right? So there's so many dysfunctional rules that go on in families that, we're not really aware of, right? Until we get to the point where we want to learn, right? About why we are the way we are. Mm-hmm. So you can't, if there's a no talk rule, then what happens to like your emotions and your internal world, right?
Yeah.
You turn then you have that Xanax, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, okay, this takes away that internal struggle. Yeah. That takes away all that pain, or just kind of makes me feel normal, or like just better.
Right. And a lot of people don't know this, but like John Bradshaw was actually one of the kind of founders of the community support group ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics. And so basically it's not so much about like the person struggling with addiction.
Yeah.
It's more geared towards like someone who grew up in a household where addiction was present. And I really resonated and connected with that because I grew up in a home similar to like what you're sharing, where there was substance abuse involved, there was domestic violence. And, growing up in that environment, I didn't have like the awareness to even know it was wrong. I just thought that's what it was. And everyone lived like that. Actually, the moment that I realized that like it wasn't right, I was at my best friend's name was Marcus. And he invited me over to his house, and I went over to his house, and we're hanging out. And they're like, all right, it's dinner time. And we were all sitting down at the table to have dinner. And I'm like, for one, I'm like, who the fuck sits down at a table to have dinner? They're like, okay, let's bow our heads. Dad's going to give grace. I'm looking up like, I was like, this shit is weird. But like, that's when I had that revelation that, how you're living and your upbringing is not right. And so I started to have like some inclination that what was going on in the household was not right. And then ACA came into my life, and I was able to understand kind of some of those principles, which kind of what you're saying, the don't talk rule, the suppression of negative emotions, the people pleasing. I'm like, damn, I'm like, check. And then I was like, all right, stuff down. That's bullshit anyways. Yeah.
But
So
then we become a boiling pot.
Yes.
Like suppressing all that, like for myself at such a young age. And then 10 years go by, never talked about it, never looked twice really at it, just knew it was wrong. And I feel like that was kind of like my way of acting out, was taking that Xanax. And then continuously take them, more and more and more. Hopefully I forget, But when the high is gone, all your emotions come back.
True.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Unless you
Unless you do it again.
die.
Yeah, or die. Yeah, that's true. I think that's the biggest challenge too, is that it does work. Like at the end of the day, like Xanax, opiates, alcohol does provide relief and comfort, and it alters our kind of reality.
And it doesn't judge you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So yeah, talking about the stuffing, and then it's interesting, you're kind of talking about like, no matter how much you push down, like eventually it's going to come up. How did it come up for you? And then what inspired you to say, you know what, like Xanax is just something that I don't want in my life anymore? Because you're sober now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
congratulations.
Yeah.
Man.
Appreciate
How
that.
long,
Thank you. I had to sit 2 years on August
Oh my
12th.
God.
That's right.
That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Yes. Can we get that sound?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's celebrate that. That's
Appreciate
a
it.
victory.
Thank you, guys.
Yay.
Usually that's when she sprinkles
Oh.
pixie dust.
Pixie dust.
She's a
2
fairy. No,
I give you
congratulations.
1 more year. I grant you at least 1 more year. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. One more. No.
Congratulations, brother, on
Thank
the 2 years. That's awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
Mm-hmm.
What was the question you said again?
Yeah. So how'd you we were talking about like stuffing emotions and how sometimes substances.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
About like when I was done with Xanax.
Yes.
So for me, I was done with it, but I went to something else. So I had multiple bad incidents on Xanax. The worst one was May 16th of 2016. I was at LACME Museum, ditch school. I went out to this railing in the LACME Museum. It was like a balcony. I sat on the railing, and for a split second, I dozed off. And when my senses came back, my legs growing over my head, I fell 39 feet
Oh my gosh.
and fell off that third-story building.
Wow.
Yeah, I woke up with the paramedics, in the paramedics' car or whatever, and then bloodied up, missing 4 teeth, punctured each lung partially, broke the left side of my face, and shattered my hips. And that was kind of like a wake-up call.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I continued to get high, but for Xanax itself, it was like, damn, like family, friends in the hospital with me, everybody's worried, and I don't like to be the center of attention, so that bothered me. And so, I slowly but surely stopped. I cold turkey Xanax in January 2017 in my house alone, skipping school because I was too sick, couldn't do it. But after that, in the hospital, for 15 days, I was prescribed. So in 15 days, I was getting injected 300 milligrams worth of morphine 4 times a day and 120 milligram Percocet
Wow.
4 times a day.
Wow.
And the morphine thing became, I just had to press a button and they would just fill me up.
Oh.
And I was abusing the hell out of that. And when I came out a dope fiend. I was sick. I didn't know, I never had that type of sickness before.
Oh, because of the opiates, you became physically dependent on it. Yeah.
I remember, so when I got discharged out of the hospital, I was in a wheelchair, right? And on the car ride home with my mom, I was acting in such a way I'd never acted before. I was trying to take the steering wheel from her. And when I got home, I tried to stand up and yell at her. It was weird. I reached out to somebody that I knew that experimented with drugs and stuff around my age, and he told me you either need heroin, fentanyl, or some other opiate. And I was like, sure, I'm not trying to do heroin because I mixed heroin with needles, and I wasn't gonna mess with needles. So Oxy 30s came into play. Expensive as hell, but just a pill. I took pills all the time.
Yeah.
But I started snorting them because it hits you quicker, and the drip felt amazing to me at the time. I started doing that for 9 months. They started getting too expensive. Next thing I know, the pressed ones with fentanyl are $20 a pop, and I was like, oh, okay, saves me more, and I get to get more.
Right.
Started smoking those, overdosed 3 times, and that still didn't stop. It still didn't make me want to stop. At that point, I already became a full-on junkie, and hoping that next hit will kill me because I felt like I was a scum, I didn't deserve to be here. My soul, I was a waste.
Right.
And I was a burden upon everybody else. But yeah, that's what it went to until I went to rehab.
What's interesting is a lot of people who don't or have ever struggled with addiction, they can sit there and look at that and be like, how, after falling 39 feet from a rooftop and almost losing your life, why would you go back to using, right? Or, we go through all these different experiences sometimes that to someone who hasn't experienced it can sit there and be like, well, why would you continue to do that? But I feel because of that, a lot of times we're not able to look at the pain and suffering that's underneath that drives someone to that place of not wanting to be here. Kind of like you were saying, I felt like I was a scum of the earth. I felt like people would be better off without me. And I think it's that loss of connection with myself that has drove me to similar pockets that you're describing, where I did kind of felt cornered in and felt like there was no other option and people would be better off. I totally relate to that.
And you just fill yourself with lies, but you're kind of validating those lies by not doing anything about it to help.
Yeah.
And it's hard because that's insanity, falling off a building and you still don't want to stop. There goes something worse.
Right.
People don't understand it. unless like I feel like you lived it.
Right. Yeah, there is that disconnect if you never lived that. Like, how could you really empathize with someone who's in that situation? Wow. So you got up and you wanted to yell at mom. Yeah.
Or a wheelchair.
From
Shattered
a
hips.
Wheelchair. Oh, that's a lot of anger, though.
So much repressed
Yeah.
anger, huh?
Yeah.
I stood up.
Yeah.
I ended up standing up, but walking now. Collapsed.
You told her.
Yeah.
Man, that was crazy.
But isn't that's a perfect analogy for anger, though, right? Like you told her, like you got up when and then you collapse. I feel like anger is it's almost the fuck you, fuck me syndrome, right? Like I'm gonna act out this way because I'm so mad at you. But all along, I'm the one that's like hurting and damaging myself. Yeah.
Self-sabotaging.
It's self-sabotaging.
Well, and you're probably like really mad at her in so many ways for having to kind of like step up, right? And like kind of, I don't know, just witnessing what you witnessed, right? And kind of like grow up, you know, a lot younger, right? At an earlier age. And you couldn't really be a kid in some ways.
Yeah. And all that held in anger, that frustration I had with her,
Right.
not being able to like really be honest with her when I was younger, just it comes out in ways like that.
Yeah.
Without getting the proper help.
Right. I think it's two-part too. I think one part is like that barrier of like if like the environment doesn't promote like being honest, right? And sharing like how I feel and what we're kind of arguing about is kind of one that causes a suppression of negative emotions. But I also feel like there's one that's more psychological in the sense of if you think about like a baby coming into the world, like we're the most kind of dependent, humans are the most dependent on people. Like you can't leave a baby in the room and like say, hey, good luck, I hope you survive. Like that baby's gonna die. So like we're so codependent when we come into the world that we need that nurturing from our caregiver, right? Whether it's a mother or whoever's standing in the gap until we finally kind of get to a point where we can do it. So with that point, the reason I wanted to make that point is because I feel like it's a natural tendency to want to protect the people that we love and care about. So like, I'm going to suppress these feelings because I don't want to hurt my mom.
Right.
And especially if my mom's already hurting, I don't want to contribute to that stress because she's already under so much stress. So I feel like it shows up in so many different ways. And I'm just thinking about how it showed up in my life. Part of it too is like, dude, I'm already in a chaotic household. I can't bring more chaos to this. I'm just going to eat this and push it down.
Right.
Because that's the most I can do at this
Stuff
point.
your
That's the
feelings.
most I can do.
Right. And it's like unconscious in some ways too, right? And then it was interesting because I was talking to a friend actually on the way over here, like just about like she just had a baby, you know, and like I feel like there's like so much, I don't know, controversy, right? Oh, if the baby's crying, just let the baby cry, right? Like teach that baby that, you know, no, pick up the baby. Okay.
Yeah.
Pick up the baby. Yeah. Like, unless you really can't, you have to go to the bathroom or you have to do something, like you're not going to really teach that baby a lesson. What you're going to do is that baby's going to later feel abandoned and it's going to have like insecure attachment, and then it's going to turn to drugs and alcohol and other things to ease that anxiety. Right?
What does an insecure attachment look like?
It's basically like the way that we relate, right? So a lot of relationships that are dysfunctional have like insecure attachment. So what it is just relating, like being that like little kid and really not knowing how to self-soothe. So you kind of like put all of this on your partner as like they should know how to kind of be, right? To soothe your pain, to soothe your anxiety, right?
Okay, yeah.
Because you're not secure enough in yourself to be able to be that.
Right. So it's no, that's what I asked, because like that insecure attachment or insecure attachment, I feel like would create like a tension in my chest, right? Of which would stem from like this fear of abandonment and like fear of being left. And, you know, I think I had that early on before going into my recovery and doing my therapy. Is I always had this fear of abandonment and people leaving.
Yeah.
I just never had the words for insecure attachment style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually, so there's like a avoidant or an anxious, right? And there's a couple different like levels to it. but avoidant and anxious will attract each other. So it goes into the fight or flight, right? So an avoidance just going to flight usually.
That's
Right.
me.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're going
Go
to,
ghost.
you wouldn't attract someone who's an avoidant as well, because that wouldn't work. Right. You wouldn't be
Yes.
attracted to that. So you attract someone who's anxious, right? Who's going to be like blowing up your phone, like, where did you go? And chasing you like, and so they're like running, like, love me. And you're like, fuck you. You're crazy. Get away. Right. It's just like this dysfunctional kind of.
You wrapped up my whole kind of junior
That's what I was
high
thinking
school
too.
love life.
Right. It's so like simple now that I kind of know about all this. Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, so many people go through
It's
it.
so common.
It's so common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so what do you do? Yeah, what would you suggest? So like to kind of address that, is it like leaning into where that came from, or where's the healing come into place?
Yeah. So it's having awareness, right? And it's healing those childhood wounds, right? Because we unconsciously attract people that were like one of our partners, or sorry, not our partners, our parents in some way, right? Whatever parent we kind of had some unfinished business with, or were the most attached to, right? So it's working kind of through that. Like when you want to, working through your childhood stuff. But so if you're going to run, right? Like, well, getting in touch with those feelings, right? Maybe seeing a therapist or seeing someone, right? And being vulnerable in small doses, right? Like anything that's kind of just little baby steps to kind of get you to really like understand why
Right.
you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, which makes me think about your 2 years of sobriety. Like, what have you been able to do to kind of sustain that abstinence? Like, what's helped you kind of solidify that?
The main thing is probably doing things I never did before.
Okay.
Giving up my old routine. Like when I came off my relapse in 2020, I hit up the one dude I wanted to be my sponsor for a long time, but I never chose him to be my sponsor because I knew he was too serious about recovery.
Right.
So when I relapsed, came back to the program and reached out to him. He took me under his wing, and I was doing things like I never did church, Christian church, like 2 times a week,
Wow.
working out consistently and shutting up and just listening, and stop going with my like impulsive decisions, like thoughts, because I have a lot of those.
Right.
Even to this day, very impulsive thoughts. But now I'm just able to like understand it's okay if I just take a deep breath and just keep doing whatever I'm doing at the moment. Whether I
Right.
play video games, watching TV, gym, or sitting down and doing nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
That sponsor, he helped me a great deal in the beginning. I got to step 4 and never finished the 12 steps. He got into some incident and I haven't heard from him in a while. I just hope he's doing well. And like my recovery is a little different than a lot of people's because, people do the 12 steps, attend meetings almost every day. And I respect that. I just feel like for myself, mine's just different. You could agree or disagree. I really don't care. It works for me.
Right. No, I love that because we're so multifaceted, right? There's so many parts of us that like make us that like recovery is not like a one size fits all. Like it's not cookie cutter. It's we're too unique for that. And I think it's important that we figure out what is it that does work for us and then work that to the best of our ability. So I really admire you kind of exploring and stretching the comfort zone and really finding out what does work for me, because what works for you might not work for me, and what works for me might not work for you.
And I'm still like open to meetings. Like what I do now, like, I take some of the clients out to meetings and I sit there for the hour and listen, you know what I mean? And if I want to share, I will share. Like, cause I know it's helped so many people. I know it has. And I give it the respect it deserves.
Right.
It just, as of right now, it's not a part of my recovery.
I love that. Yeah. And
Oh, no, go ahead.
yeah, no. So okay, so you
real quick, another
yeah.
thing. Therapy. Therapy, that's like
Yeah.
my sanctuary, It starts there and then everything just comes from it.
Talk a little bit about that. What was that experience like going into it? Like, were there fears? What ideas did you have about it? And then looking at it now, has your views on that changed?
Oh, so like when I first went into it, I thought my therapist was hot, like automatically.
Did that make it easier? Or
Oh,
what, or?
no, it made it easier to like get distracted and be distracted,
Okay, good.
But not to get down to my work.
Right, exactly.
Obviously.
Yeah.
You know, I hit on her and everything, like wasting her time and my time.
Well,
Right.
there's
But
probably a lot of
I wasn't ready.
underlying stuff there, though. Yeah.
I just wasn't ready. And you know, after that relapse, when I came back into the program and started seeing her again, I told her, like, I'm here for business. Like, done with all, like, you know, the BSing and just wasting your time and my time. And then we started getting down to actual real work and being patient with myself and telling myself it's okay that I've, you know, messed up in the past. Because I'm a big dweller. And I dwell a lot when I, you know, get in that headset, like the headspace, and just it turns out really bad. Yeah, being able to be honest, vulnerable, and go to her, like, honestly, whenever I need to. And I know she'll answer, you know what I mean? I know she'll respond, even if she's busy.
Right.
But she's helped me so much in so many other ways. I can't even, like, thank her enough, you know?
Yeah. So when you look back, because I know when we were talking earlier, you're talking about like this strained kind of dynamics with your mom and your dad and kind of growing up with just all that chaos in the household. How have your relationships changed since you've done your work and kind of where you're at today in your life? Yeah, what's different today in the relationships?
Me and my mom don't fight as much. We used to always, like, bump heads like rams fighting, you know, constantly. But now it's just like, we just joke around most of the time. I feel like, you know, we smile, we laugh. I'm present. If she needs help with something, I'm able to do that now. You know, I'm able to drive there. I'm able to actually want to be there.
Right.
Instead of just feeling like, oh, she's nagging, we just shut her up and, you know, do whatever she says. No, it's not like that. Real cool. I'm glad she's like a friend of mine. Like, I could go to her for anything. If I have any questions, it could be the most cruel stuff. You know what I mean? And she will be my mom still.
Right.
And not judge, you know. With my brother, he's growing older. I have a 15-year-old brother. It's kind of hard because he's at that age. It's just like, I'm not going to force anything upon him. I want him to find whatever path he wants to take and just feel like that's his choice. You know?
Right.
Not feel like he's in a cage or anything like that. We joke around a lot. We text each other a couple days out of the week. I go there like 2 times a week when I can in Santa Monica. And with my little newborn sister, I just love her.
Yeah.
She's great.
Just she gets doted on by everyone.
Yeah. And honestly, when my mom was pregnant in 2020, when she told me, mind, I was 22. My brother was 14. It's a huge age gap. I already experienced the 8-year age gap with my little brother. And it's already hard, you know?
Yeah.
But when I found out she was pregnant, I was honestly more, not really mad, just like, I didn't expect another, you know, sibling. And it's a sister now, you know? Comes a lot more responsibility with a girl. That's how I feel.
Do you feel like you're taking on some of that responsibility
No.
as a big brother?
No, but like, I know when she gets older, you know what I mean? That just like what you said earlier about like caring for loved ones and just like wanting to protect.
Right.
You know, that's all it's coming from.
No, that's natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I kind of was against my mom, like a little bit, because I was like, Mom, you're 39, you know? It's risky now. And her, you know, she had tremens, post-tremens, I think that's what it's called, when she had my sister, like having seizures and stuff. So that was a big worry.
Yeah.
But honestly, when I first saw my sister, like in my hands and arms, like, I loved her, you know what I mean?
I kind of sense like some those happy tears, or is there some sadness?
Tears.
Right
I
there?
don't know, tears in my face. Nah.
Okay,
It-
if you do.
I'm just, like,
Okay,
thinking.
fine, it's good.
I mean, because they could be either one, right? Like I remember when
Yeah.
I had my son, like I teared up when I would talk about him. It was like just that emotional, that like it was just.
It's because it
natural.
was so, like, for me, I didn't know, like, I was in our plans to have another kid, you know? And, like, for that to happen and it be a girl, which is a new experience, and for her too, she hasn't had a girl yet. And the boyfriend, my mom's boyfriend, is great, you know? Like, he's everything a great man could, like, that could provide. He's
Right.
that, you know what I mean? Like, he's there.
And you've grown into a great man. Just
appreciate
listening
that.
to you talk and being able to catch up, and how you're even saying like, you know, I'm not trying to force nothing on my brother. I'm just gonna be there and be there, and instead of trying to impose something on him. I think that shows the maturity too, like in the work that you've done, man. So
And I leave the door open for him, you know, whenever, any questions.
right, I'm
Anything.
here.
Wants
Yeah.
to hang out, if he has questions about girls or whatever. I ain't gonna judge. Been there, done that, you know?
Right. And honestly, I feel like that's the best approach. You know, when you're working with someone, and not this is kind of going on a different like topic, but like when you're working with someone who's like struggling with addiction, the best approach is not so much telling them what they shouldn't do or why they shouldn't do it. It's really about like leaving that door open and saying, I'm here when you're ready to walk through that. And like no
Yeah.
matter what happens, like I love you, I care about you, and I'll always be here for you. I think on all levels that message of love and compassion needs to be communicated. Because I think, you know, anytime someone's trying to impose something on me, and I think human nature is to you get
Rebel.
that inclination to rebel.
Yeah.
Like, watch me do it. You think I can't do it? I'm gonna show you.
Right. So yeah, you don't want to be told what to do, and then you
Totally.
also have like kind of like shame, right? There's like something to it. Then there's like they're blaming you, like you know, like you're telling you like what not to do, and so then you're just like, well, fuck, I'm just gonna do it then.
Yeah, because I honestly believe too, like it's not about like a deficiency in not knowing what to do. I
Right.
think we all know like what we need to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so being told like, hey, you should do this and this is why, there's almost like a assumption that comes that like,
You're not trying.
yeah, that I'm not working hard
Ego.
enough or I'm not capable enough. And it's like, yeah, there's an automatic kind of rebellion that comes from that.
I like how you brought that up because I feel like clients that I've had in the past that are doing great now, you know, like sober, a year plus, and that I've built rapport when they were a client of mine,
Right.
you know, and they hit me up. I could guarantee, like, if I asked them, every single one of them would tell me, I gave them that challenge on telling them, like, the door's right there, but you know what's out there.
Yeah.
You're going to stay here or leave?
Or leave.
I'll still be here,
Yeah.
but I don't know if you'll come back.
Right. A lot of times they stay.
Yeah, most of
Right?
the times they do
They
stay
stay.
because they're like, damn.
Yeah, he's right.
Because I'm not yelling at them or I'm not like putting like this unnecessary power, you know,
Over yeah.
them. So they're like, damn, all right. Or just like, you know, stay to themselves, go to the room, think about it.
Right.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, that's the reason why a lot of people do drugs anyways, is because their lives are out of control, right? So even taking the drug, you have a little bit of control, right? So if someone's like telling you, oh, don't do it, right? You're like, oh, no, I'm going to do it, right? It's
Yes.
like that whole kind of ego, like kind of battle.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a mastery and control piece that comes with it, because it's the one thing that I do have or have a sense of control in my delusional thinking, but also the one thing too that I'm doing that you don't know about,
Right.
and so it's my little secret. And when you grow up in a household that's always been filled with secrets, that shit feels familiar and it feels good. Like, oh, there's
Empowering.
nothing. There's no better feeling than being high in a room full of people that don't know you're high. You're like, yeah. You high right now, Josie? No, I'm just kidding.
So high.
Lucky.
But you know, there's a feeling that comes with that secrecy
Right.
and being able to get away with something. Yeah,
It's like an achievement,
it's an achievement. I got him.
imaginary achievement.
Imaginary achievement. Yeah, man. So what are you looking forward to when you think about like future goals and projects that you're working on, man? What are you
School,
nice?
majoring in social work. That's what I want to do.
Okay.
I would like the goal is to be like a LCSW
Nice.
or even like LMFT.
Yes.
But I know there's so many other options going into that realm. So something in that type of field, honestly, like helping people, being there for someone. I would love to work with kids,
Nice.
like meeting them at a point in their life where you can help, you know, before it gets to that next level.
Right.
And I feel like, especially like in the low income communities and areas, like they don't got that.
Right.
They don't have enough of it.
Yes.
And I just want to be able to do that, you know?
Dude, you got the perfect personality for that because you're very welcoming and you're approachable and you have the testimony. And I think those three things, especially with working with kids or with anyone, like builds trust off the top. You know what I'm saying? Can you relate to me? Yeah, you're approachable, you know, and you have that. And so definitely hope you follow through with that because it is something that's needed. And who knows, maybe the two worlds merge where you bring in kind of that athletic piece, right? And then this kind of psychological piece comes together and creates like a little niche for what you're trying to do.
That could break the ice.
It could break the ice. It could break the ice, man.
Also, I feel like the life experience, like I have that.
Yes.
Now it's about, the education part.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the next step.
And I think it's so important too, because I have my master's in clinical psychology, so MFT. Yeah. But I think what helps me more too, right, is my experience, right? And then I can relate like in certain ways to clients from not just a clinical level, right? But from like my actual life experience, like I can get them,
Right.
So I think that's amazing that you want
I
to
think
do
that's
that.
the best,
Yeah.
honestly.
100%.
Because it's like respect. When I was a client, right? I don't really care how much a book has told you.
Right.
I want to know what you've been through, And if you haven't been through shit, I don't want to talk to you about anything really.
Yeah, because a good therapist or coach, whatever, right, can only take you as far as they've went themselves. So if they haven't done what at least they're asking you to do, then why in the hell would you want to go to them?
Right.
I think that was one of the first questions I asked my therapist.
Really?
Was, have you done drugs before?
Yeah.
Because she looked like she didn't do anything.
Right.
But she shared her story with me. I was like, I respect it. All right, cool. Let's keep it pushing.
Let's keep it pushing. We good. I see you. No, that's true.
Oh, also, I would like to one day open my own sober living detox. That's another goal I have of mine.
Nice. Let me know when you open it, man. I'll definitely come check it out.
That's
That's
gold
exciting.
right there.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
can
need.
actually see it.
There's a need. And it's very, very achievable too.
And it's because I want to do it.
Yeah.
I really want to do that.
Yeah. Where could people find you if they wanted to just follow you and kind of learn more about what you're doing in the community?
Instagram,
What's the tag?
Snapchat, at Sheesh Dove.
At Sheesh Dove.
Sheesh.
Sheesh. Dove.
Oh, sheesh.
SHEESH.
I like that. Sheesh.
Like a
Yeah.
dove?
My last name.
Oh my
Yes.
God. I'm so jealous.
Yes.
That's amazing.
If you want to learn more about Jonathan Dub, follow him at IG. Sheesh. Dub. Yeah. No, it's been a real pleasure, man, having
Thank
you
you.
on the show, and so glad you made time for us and in this space where we can just talk about some of your progress and the things that you kind of had to challenge and
Anytime.
overcome. Yeah. Chelsea, you got anything you want to share?
No, it's just been a pleasure kind of getting to know you, and maybe next time we can kind of delve into your relationship stuff more.
Cool.
Oh yeah, because
Sounds
we
good.
were gonna get into double standards. That's gonna be a
Yeah.
to be continued,
Yeah.
an exclusive interview where you will learn about double standards. I
Love
like
that.
that. I like that.
Yeah.
We would have been here a whole nother hour if we did that.
Easily.
Yes, easily. Yes,
Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Marcos. Thank you, Chelsea.
Yeah.
Give me the time,
Thank
absolutely. Anytime, we're gonna welcome you back, and so we can see where you're at.
Cool.
With everything that you shared in your aspirations, man, just to kind of follow up on that. So
Little
we'll be in
check-in.
touch. Yeah, a little check-in. Yeah, thank you for listening to Marcos on Air. In today's show, we sat with our guests, Jonathan Dub and my co-host, Chelsea Autumn. For more of these episodes, you can follow us on Marcos on Air. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.